Welcome to the artist's mind, an immersive experience into the feminine psyche, where art is found to be the core of our existence. A space that invites you into a deeper intimacy with the creation of your life. This is not a podcast, but a journey. A weaving of poetry, story, metaphor, and sound to awaken the artist within. I'm your guide, Kaylee Korfike, and it's my prayer that this space feels both wildly abstract and deeply practical, and everything in between. I'm not here to explain, but to express, to show rather than tell. This is a living audio diary, a space created not only to help you birth your creations into form, but to turn yourself and your life into an offering. I hope you find threads within my journey to pull on and weave within your own. Let the journey begin. Welcome to the first episode of The Artist's Mind. As I hit record today, I feel this anticipation in my heart. And it comes from this feeling of questioning how is it that I can bring something to other people, an explanation, a description of a vision that I'm holding very closely to my heart that feels like something that I've never quite seen done before. And I wonder if you've also had this experience, because to me it feels like we are born with these blueprints inside of us. And whether people associate with the word artist or they don't, there is an artistic potential, I like to call it a soul craft. There is an offering of the way that our creativity wants to move through our life that is so unique and individual to us. And I think that the more that we align with that, the more challenging and sometimes scary it is to try to not only bring that to the world, but to try to explain it to the world. And I often come back to this motto of show, don't tell. However, this is the first episode of what I feel will be quite a journey for those who decide to follow along and show up here. So I'm going to do my best today to bring to you my explanation of a vision and an essence of an offering that has been living inside of me for quite a few months behind the scenes and feels very exciting and also vulnerable to expose to the world. And I'm sure that there are other artists out there who can relate to this feeling that when you're making art that starts to become more and more a product of your soul's expression, the more it can feel vulnerable to finally expose that to other people, into the world of opinions and just everything that is the online world today. So I think the best way to go about this episode and expressing more of what this podcast is, not only to me, but what it can be for you and what you can expect from this space, is to dive a little bit deeper into the perspective that I hold around the artist's journey, which to me is synonymous to the hero's journey or even the spiritual journey that I feel we are all on. And something I'm experiencing not only in myself, but that I'm hoping to intertwine in this space is this, not just concept, but this way of living of what I could call becoming the offering. And what I mean by that is that we oftentimes just think of our offerings as the things that we do. For example, the business that we create, the clients that we serve, the art that we make and share with the world. But at its core, what I believe at least is that every part of our life gets to be an offering. And this is something that is at the core of this podcast and this vision that I'm holding, is to create a space where we can dive into what that really means in a way that allows us to take that concept and actually start to feed it into and weave it into our lives so that we begin to live as the offering. And when we have a vision or something come to us that feels so near and dear to our souls, that so desperately wants to be shared, to be given, to be gifted to others, usually the bigness of those dreams holds a lot of resistance within the creation process. And what is not often talked about is that it's not just about the offering of creating that vision. The offering is actually the way that we grow as we meet the resistance to creating that thing. So I'm going to make this more specific. I'm going to bring this into a more personal perspective. If you are an artist, which I imagine if you're listening to this, you do in one form or another. If you have a vision come to you of a project or a creation or an offering that feels so either radical or new to the world or scary because it's something you have not seen done before, usually it comes with an ask. That vision is asking you to become a new version of yourself. And there's this quote that I don't know off the top of my head, but it talks about how an acorn has the blueprint of this entire oak tree inside of it. It knows how to become that thing. It just needs to be given the right nutrients, the right environment to bring it about. And you could imagine this vision that you receive, this offering or this craft or this project, as this acorn. When you receive it, there's a blueprint inside of it that holds everything that it needs to grow into this tree, this offering. So for this example, let's say that that vision that came to you was for a painting. And maybe this painting wasn't just a normal painting. It was done with different mediums that you had never experimented with before. And it was an accumulation of a couple different mediums. And you've never seen anybody do this before. And let's say on top of that, that this painting wanted to be something that was very bold. Maybe it challenged something in the public eye or something to do with politics that you knew would rub some people the wrong way, that you might get some backlash for. In this example, this acorn is also holding a blueprint for the next version of your soul's evolution. So what does that mean? It means that our souls are constantly seeking to evolve and expand into a higher potential of who we can be. And these acorns that hold a vision or a creative venture or something that our soul is excited to experiment with our life force, those acorns hold a blueprint for exactly the types of resistance, types of healing, and types of growth that our soul is yearning to explore. So whatever it is that that vision is that comes to you, it holds the entire concept within it of whatever it is in your life that feels perhaps sticky, dense, heavy, challenging to work through, to expand. And this is the reason that so many of us don't start. This is the reason that so many of us push aside our truest dreams. because the highest excitement of our soul, the place that we wish to evolve and expand the most, is accompanied by the duality of the greatest resistance and the biggest hurdles to overcome. And so it's funny to me because we're in this age of being so obsessed with self-help and the spiritual journey and this constant, insatiable hunger for trying to fix ourselves and heal ourselves. And the reason that I say that it's funny to me is because, well, for one, I fell down that rabbit hole so many times, and so I can understand it. This constant need to fix and figure out and work on ourselves, when in reality, the truest work of our soul is sitting inside of those acorns, those visions, those excitements, those big dreams that we so easily brush to the side and say, well, when I have the time, or when the kids are finally out of the house, or fill in the blank, whatever excuse we make to not follow the bigness of our dreams. So when I said that there is a core of this space and this vision that I am birthing that has to do with becoming the offering, making our lives the offering, making ourselves the offering, not just the offering itself. What I mean by that is that when you show up to the visions, the highest excitements, the scary creations that are being asked to come through you, when you choose to consciously engage with the blueprint inside of those visions and the soul growth that must be undertaken, that to me is offering yourself, because you have to go through constant transformation and constant meeting your shadows and constant moving through the challenging bits of yourself in order to go through that birth process. There's a reason when you look at the world why so many people are living in mediocrity. There's a reason why passion is a foreign language to a lot of people in today's society. And it's because we choose to live these lives of pushing aside the truest excitements of what we came to be and to do in the world because it's seemingly easier, even though it ends up in sickness and disease and being numb and disassociating and trying to copy other people's lives or mimic something somebody else is doing, when under the surface, we have these dreams within us. We have these visions within us, and we're all on some level aware that this exists. And every day, in the hundreds, thousands of decisions that we make, we are either choosing to engage with those dreams, those excitements of our soul, or we're choosing to be in ignorance and to pretend like they don't matter. And I imagine that there are people listening who are so lit up by this conversation because they feel like they're in the category of honestly and consciously engaging the visions of their soul. And then there's probably also people, and I would have fit into this category not too long ago myself, so I very much understand this feeling, and likely we all can understand this feeling, of hearing that and feeling maybe a little bit contracted or defeated or even just a little bit sad. And I think that that's a normal response because so often in our society, we let the narratives of what we should be doing with our lives become bigger voices within us than the voice of our soul, than the voice of those dreams that we were born with and that are constantly coming through us, wanting to co-create. And The invitation of this space and the offering that I've been feeling so deeply wanting to work with me and wanting to come through me as an offering for you, for others, for other artists, for the artist inside of each and every one of us, is to allow this space to meet you exactly where you are. Whether you're in a season of your life where you are in full artist mode, birthing projects left and right, or you're in a stage where you feel you know there is an artist within you, and yet you feel a little bit disconnected from that creative life force, and you feel curious about what it wants to show you, or anywhere in between. And the invitation is to allow this podcast, this space, to be like a master key, a place that you can show up whether you are in the middle of a project and needing to work through a block, or you are totally disconnected from what it even means to have a dream, or how to work on yourself within that dream, or how to birth it into the world. This offering in my world, and the way that it is showing itself to me thus far, is so much more than a podcast. And it even feels a little bit strange to call it a podcast, because when I tune into it, the way that the different episodes are showing themselves to me are very different than just your average podcast that you throw on in the car, or while you're doing dishes, or while you're on a walk and you're kind of distracted and doing other things and trying to learn something and gather knowledge, but you're not really fully plugged in. Or maybe you are, maybe that's not your experience with podcasts. But what I mean is that this is not the same sort of experience as just gathering mental knowledge. The vision has been showing me that this space wants to become something, and the words that come through often are multidimensional muse. And I want to see if I can break that down in words to make it a little bit more practical. Okay, the way that it's coming through is like this. We have these different brainwave states. And some of us might know about these, other people don't, but you're engaging with them and feeling them regardless. So our normal waking state is generally beta. And this is the state that our brain waves are in that is more associated with just our normal waking consciousness, a more heightened state of awareness. And then we go into alpha, which is sort of like you could imagine if you are in class and you start daydreaming. It's a little bit like a light meditation, but you haven't gone too deep below the surface. Then if we were able to drop a layer deeper, we would go into theta. And this is where a lot of vivid imagery or visualization can come through. It's a very intuitive place. It kind of feels like you're moving beyond the mind, like if you are to get into a deeper meditative state or go into like a trance, oftentimes this would be theta. And alpha and theta are both the realms of flow state. And I won't go into delta because that's more of like a deep, dreamless sleep. But the realms that I'm talking about, this beta, alpha, and theta, when I talk about something being multidimensional, this is kind of like a scientific way of looking at it. We have our waking state of consciousness, and then we have these other realms or dimensions of ourselves that we can explore by changing our brainwaves. So when I use the word multidimensional, what I mean by that is that we're dropping into our subconscious or sometimes our superconscious when we go into these deeper levels of ourself. And to be connected to these realms is to be connected to more of the whole self. As you may have heard from somebody like Joe Dispenza's work, or even just in like Carl Jung's work or psychology, 99.9999999% of who we are is generally unconscious. And there's a great quote by Carl Jung that says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And to me, what he means by that is that until we start to turn our attention towards these deeper aspects of ourself, until we start to journey below the surface, below this just beta brainwave state, and we start to drop deeper and deeper into the inner mind, into the shadowy aspects of ourselves, the suppressed, repressed elements of who we are, we don't really get to know who it is that we actually are, because generally we're a product of just a lot of conditioning from the outside world. And to me, art and the subconscious and the unconscious are so interrelated, not just symbolically, but the journey that we take as artists is the journey into our soul, into our true self. So when I refer to this space as a multidimensional muse, well, the word muse is a person or a force that is the source of inspiration for a creative or an artist. And when I say multidimensional, what I'm referring to is this element of different realms and dimensions of the self. So this is a space that will not only meet you on a mental level or dimension, but will also meet you emotionally and somatically in the body and give you the opportunity to dive deeper into the subconscious and the unconscious realms, because this is where so much of our artistic potential lies dormant. And just for fun, I'll give one more quote that I love, a simple one by Carl Jung, that says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And to me, this is what art is all about. It's not just about a pretty picture on a canvas or something that you can look at. It's about the journey of your soul that you take, the places that you come to meet yourself, the hurdles and obstacles that you overcome within the journey of that creation. And my deepest prayer within this space is to create a place for you to come to not just be able to work with these different visions and dreams that you have and work through blocks in a new way, but to find a multidimensionality to what art actually is. And I know that that can sound kind of ambiguous, but what I mean by that is that these episodes will not just be me talking at you. There may be some episodes that carry lessons or reflections or stories from my artistic experience, but there will be so many experiences and inner explorations in a myriad of different ways for you to be able to explore yourself. To explore yourself not just as an artist, but as the art. And my hope here is that when you come to this space with whatever it is that you are feeling and experiencing, that the texture of that emotion or that sensation or the experience happening in your life is found to be the medium that is asking you to sculpt with it. So that you start to see that it's not just about the canvas in front of you that you're painting on or the page that you are writing, but it's about taking that off the page. It's about taking an artistic approach to your life. One of my closest friends who actually invited me to create this podcast about a year ago, I was talking with her about a month ago, and she was asking me to explain to her what this podcast was going to be. And at first I was trying to put it into words, and what ended up clicking was when I expressed to her this part of my own journey. And what I told her was, I have so many of these memories and moments in my life where I'm yearning for something that I haven't seen created, and I almost feel like I'm meant to create the thing that I haven't been able to find. And maybe that's something that we all experience, is that there's something that we can feel that the world wants or needs, and that we're actually kind of waiting on ourselves to be the one to create that. And there's a moment that I find that yearning to be the strongest. And it tends to be when I'm taking off in an airplane. And oftentimes I've found that I've scheduled flights either during sunrise or during sunset. And I don't think that I intentionally do that. It must be something that my soul really enjoys because it happens often. And as I'm rising up above that cloud level and the sun is breaking through or it's going down on the horizon, I have this moment where I feel like the realm of thought just drops away. As if all the thoughts of all the people below me just are no longer touching my mind. And I'm filled with this feeling of not only incredible inspiration and creativity, and sometimes the greatest visions and ideas that I have come through on flights. But at the same time, I always have my headphones in and I'm listening to music, and I feel so close to God. And you could replace that word with spirit or the universe or to myself. I feel this intimacy with the moment and this depth. And in those moments, I find myself yearning to be able to put my headphones in and have someone or something through sound and through words, through some sort of artistic expression, take me a layer deeper into that experience, to not just tune out like all the people around me who are on their iPads already and watching movies. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. I love movies. I love that too. And there's a time and a place to tune out. But there's so many moments in my life where I'm aching to tune in deeper, and where I want to be able to have like a space that I go and there's different journeys and experiences, and I might not always know what it is that I'm going to click play on, but I know that there's a trust with the person creating it, that I can put that in my ears and I know that I'm going to tune in to what's actually happening in the moment. That it's going to take me into my senses, that it's going to take me into the experience that I'm having. And don't get me wrong, I love podcasts. I love knowledge. I love learning new things and experiencing the different lenses and perspectives that people have. And oftentimes listening to something that we're learning can still take us more into the mind. And some of these episodes probably will do that. But there is a quality of experience and inward journeying that I hope to bring people on, not just through inward meditation style, but actually journeying out into the playground and the canvas of your life. Because that's really how I see my world, my universe, is that every day and everywhere I go is this canvas to paint my creative energy upon, not just in the moments in front of an actual canvas that I'm painting, but at the DMV or in the car or on a hike. There are so many ways to engage artistic expression and explore ourselves through an artistic lens. And my excitement with this podcast is that I can feel that these episodes want to be such a variety of explorations, that some may take you inward in the confines of your own home. They may take you on a meditative soundscape journey that helps you explore a part of you that may have felt blocked in your artistic expression or in the way your life force is or isn't flowing. And they may also take you outward into your environment, into the stage of your life, the game of your life, the playground of your life. And to see what I mean by that, I guess you'll have to show up and find out. But this space can be used in so many different ways. It can be used, of course, as entertainment or as learning something new. It can be used as a living oracle that gives you a sign or a new perspective or a lens to apply to the moment that you're in. and whatever it is that you're currently exploring within those dreams and visions and creative ventures that you are receiving. And at its core, all of these episodes will come back to helping you to unlock the blueprints that your soul has artistically. And what I mean by that is that similar to that acorn, that vision that we might have to create a specific project in the world, we are also that acorn. And each of us, when we came into this life, I believe, has a very specific creative blueprint, an artistic blueprint. Sometimes I like to refer to it as a soul craft. In other words, a way that our soul is craving to express itself artistically or creatively, a way that our life force wants to move us in our life, the way that it wants to evolve and express and offer to the world. And I feel like when we're not in tune with that, it creates this feeling of deep unrest, an insatiability or a restlessness, like we're craving something that we can't quite explain. And at the core of it, we're really craving ourselves. It's not the painting, it's not the novel, it's not the business, it's the journey that we take of self-discovery when we use those things as goals. When we set out to engage the blueprint inside of that vision, that acorn that holds the new expression of who we want to become and all of the growth within it, when we say yes and we show up, regardless of the resistance, regardless of the blocks, and we allow ourselves to change and transform in that journey, we discover more of who we actually are. And what happens is that we don't find our purpose as a noun, but actually more of a verb. That our purpose isn't this outcome or this thing at the end of the journey, but it's in the experiencing, it's in the living, it's in the journey itself of what it feels like to discover the unfolding process as we unfold into that next version of ourselves. So, to wrap it up, this space is one of discovering more of what it means to be you through an artistic lens, turning your life into the canvas, turning yourself into the paintbrush, realizing that you are God's instrument and you have this song inside of you, this artistic expression that nobody else on this planet can bring about. Nobody else can play that melody, that song. And your bones and your blood and your DNA are coded to create that, to bring that to life. And everything that gets in the way of that is where the discovery happens. It's where the depth happens. It's where the falling in love with yourself and your life happens. Because until we meet our shadows, until we meet the things that feel sticky and resistant and hard and blocked, our life keeps feeling like a shallow end. And my belief is that those sticky parts, those darker parts of us, are where our greatest artistic potential hides. And if you're curious of finding out what that looks like in yourself and in your life, this is the space for you. And I'd like to end this episode with a poem that I just stumbled across. I wrote it probably about 2 years ago. And it never ceases to amaze me how this past version of myself, who is just innocently writing in the moment with no agenda for this poem to be for anything specific, how it always seems like that past version of me was writing to this present day or future version of herself that would find herself in this moment where it fit perfectly into the puzzle that she was creating. So a theme within this space is going to be meeting these journeys or the energy behind these episodes with more intention and awareness and depth than you might meet the average podcast. And this being the introduction and the first step on this journey that we'll be taking together, I want to encourage you to close your eyes and feel with me, to let this poem be more than just something that your ears hear, but something that your heart feels. And like I said in the introduction, finding a thread in my journey to pull on and weave within your own. So go ahead and close your eyes with me. And just notice your body. And wherever you're at today, see if you can find just 10% more softness. Where can you soften? Where can you take a breath and breathe in more spaciousness? And before I read this poem to you, go ahead and bring your awareness into your heart. Notice your heartbeat. Is it fast? Is it slow? Just notice how this muscle, this organ, is pumping blood unconsciously through your entire body without you ever having to think about it. That there is a blueprint for everything working under the surface to keep you alive and healthy, that you never have to control or force. And as you feel into your heart, I want you to ask yourself a question here. And be as honest as you can be. And that question is, what is it that is calling out to me in excitement to explore? What dream is whispering to me, is tugging on my heart to look at, to co-create with? And how available have I made myself to this dream or this excitement? And the reason that I ask you this here is because if you choose to return to this space, you will be called deeper to connect with this vision or this dream or this desire that your heart holds. And yes, it may challenge you. It may pull you into shadows or obstacles or sticky places within yourself. But I promise you that it will be worth it. And that on the other side of that, there is a much more artistic and inspired way of living. So here we go. Sometimes life feels like a continuous countdown we can't see. A pressure with invisible hands. A ticking clock that mocks me and sand slip through hands that haunt me, a knowing that these bones are bound by time. Life is like a scuba diver with one oxygen tank. A journey measured by a finite number of breaths. But what a wonderful adventure it is to dance with limitation, to sing duets with duality and make love to our scars, to have choice after choice of how to spend our time makes it all the more precious a resource. See people fight wars over money, not realizing the real luxury is a slow mourning. Licking honey from your lover's lips and the acoustics of a laugh that can't be heard the same in heaven. No, spirit may be limitless, but this body's limits drive erotic bliss. In friction carved from opposites, it's beautiful, isn't it? How time bends love into tension and lets God kiss his own creation. What a gift, to hold time in tender hands and walk with death as lover. What a gift, to let each breath deliver us to the timeless, to find the part of us that cannot die and weave it through our ribs and words and actions as an offering to the one who is dreaming you into existence. Tick-tock, tick-tock. I wonder what you'll create with it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this first episode with me. And until next time, may your curiosity be greater than your fear.